Welcome to the Financial Pro Podcast.
Welcome to the live recording of the Financial Pro podcast episode. And today I wanted to tackle a common question that's coming around my communities, from both my mentees and in the Financial Pro community, around recruitment, and in particular, apprentices. I actually think it's really important to understand the differentiators with apprentices, Kickstarters, as another scheme that's incentivized by the government at the moment, and also, taking on somebody full-time, part-time, a normal quote-unquote employee. Now, before we get into the specifics, I wanted to make you aware that in 2020, within my mortgage brokerage, Active Mortgage, we've managed to scale from during the pandemic, from a team of 2 advisors, 1 administrator, a marketing apprentice who's now full-time social media manager, and me, to a team of 15. In Financial Pro, I've now also got a team of 14, which comprises of mostly freelancers, but also a couple of part-time employees. So I'm really versed, with 30 plus people collectively on the team in all the different options. And I've just at this point in time taken on 3 Kickstarters, and 2 of my current team used to be apprentices. And I think in your first step of recruitment, you're wanting to get rid of the lower value admin tasks. So there's different phases within your business that this is going to apply to you. Starting out, you want to get rid of those lower value tasks. Now, you can look at somebody on a part-time basis, but the difficulty is in having somebody part-time to do that too. You're going to find it stressful and frustrating because, particularly, let's say if you're doing it 1 day per week, you've got to wait a whole 4 days, working days, before you're able to get some more support and some more guidance. So I'm a big advocate of having somebody who can work with you if you want to do it on a part-time basis, starting out with 1-2 hours realistically a day, 10 hours per week, which might cost you £50 per week on a £10 hour wage. Now, the beauty of a Kickstarter scheme or an apprentice scheme is you get a lot of support. With an apprentice, which Jack, who's my social media manager, has been with me and he's in his 4th year now. He is now my full-time social media manager. He is the only person who has access to my personal social media accounts through the passwords, etc. And that's because we built a big, social media and working relationship around. He knows what's good, he knows what works, etc. Toby actually now is working for one of my advisors specifically, because where my head office was based in Chelmsford, I now have advisors all up and down the country, and I have my head office in Gloucester. So Toby actually is still based in Chelmsford, brought on by the pandemic, works from home, uses my computers, etc., but works specifically with one of my advisors who is doing fantastically well. So Toby joined in the January of 2019 as an apprentice. And this is the key thing, which I see so many people in financial services getting bogged down with when you look at apprentices. The idea is you've got to show them how to do the job. You've got to let them shadow you for a long period of time, 1, 2, 3 weeks, and start to delegate out a few tasks. Now, for an apprentice, you could pay realistically £10,000 for the year, as a wage. You could add incremental bonuses in there based on their development, their improvement, their growth. You could, hopefully you're looking at a long-term relationship where you give them the opportunity to have an employed role afterwards, exactly as I did for Toby. He's done a business administration apprenticeship. And within 3 months, to give you an example, Toby was able to answer the phone, book all the new leads, manage the diary, chase lenders, chase solicitors, upload documentation to the lender, everything post application for a mortgage. He was also able to start keying agreement in principles and life insurance policies. And within 6 months, fully proficient in life insurance. Now, a conversation that I had with one of my coaching clients yesterday was very much a case of, yeah, but he's doing a business administration apprenticeship. I said, yeah, but 80% of mortgage, financial and insurance is administration. So you can definitely get somebody going down that path much, much quicker. And it starts with just being able to, complete a fact find. So I think often the limitation is in your own head. You're a sole trader, you're starting out, and you're concerned about, are you going to have the money to pay for them? Well, if you look at that point, you've got 3 months worth of pipeline income from the applications that are going through, the life insurance that you're potentially dealing with. And if you're not giving your client every opportunity, or if you're not giving your client your attention and covering off every opportunity, then you're leaving quote unquote money on the table. And it's really important that you do a proper job for each and every single one of your clients, which revolves around knowing you've got 3 months worth of sale pipeline behind you, which as soon as they come into the business, you leverage out those lower value tasks. For the first couple of weeks, you just give them the opportunity to learn on the job. Shouldn't cost you any more time. If you know you're going to sit on hold to a lender, you say, hey, go and phone this and do this. One task at a time, just to get them into the flow. For many apprentices, it can be their first job. So you really have to puppeteer, but you don't spend, all day training an apprentice. You teach them through showing them. Your kids learn to walk because they see you walking. Then they try it, then they give it a go, you help them a little bit, you hold their hands, but it all starts with that initial show. And this is where I see so many people go wrong in the training sense is you're trying to train. I don't think you need to train. Well, I know you don't want to train. Toby probably took me an extra hour a day. And that hour a day was where I had to explain the task that I needed him to do as he was doing it. So you have to invest a little bit more time, but it should never stop you from doing the things that you normally do in a day to day. If it is, then you're spending too much time training rather than showing, because the showing is what's going to teach. Practical application, which is what the financial services industry is all about. So when it comes to apprentices, all I did was contact my local college and just said, I really want to get an apprentice. I want somebody in Jacksent. I want somebody who's got video and photography experience. In Toby's circumstance, I just said I want somebody who's a little bit savvy, who can hold a conversation, isn't afraid to get on the phone, is able to use all the Word and Microsoft packages, because that's mostly what we use in the business. And he came in, you interview a few of them and you recruit them just like any other person. And their learning, development, improvement and growing comes from repetition, showing, teaching, having scripts, creating checklists. So as they're sitting with you, get them to create a checklist for the things that you're doing. So then you can actually look at it and go, yes, that's exactly how I do it. And that's exactly the same when you bring in someone part-time without any experience. I would do it exactly the same way with an apprentice as I would bring in someone more experienced into the business. In the same way that now we have the Kickstarter scheme. So with an apprenticeship, as an example, final point on that, it can be roughly 18 months to bring an apprentice into your business for a business administration apprenticeship. They can go through and they get support and they have to do homework, etc. I always said to Toby and also to Jack, when do you want to get your apprenticeship work done in the day? Jack preferred to do it first thing in the morning. Toby preferred to do it first thing in the afternoon. So I just gave them the freedom and autonomy to make sure that on the same time every day they did their apprenticeship work. And then the rest of the time they were mine. And I'm going to take exactly the same principle with Kickstarters. So the government have added in the Kickstarter scheme, which is the same principle. You have to be applying for job seekers allowance. And off of the back of that, you can then be put forward for a Kickstarter scheme. Now, there is caveats to that, because if you want less than 30 people, you have to go and register with a Kickstarter company who will deal with all the payments. They still get, as a Kickstarter, minimum wage, and you can choose to top that up should you want to. But in getting minimum wage, they're still earning an income. and they're still being paid to be there. You're just getting it paid by the local authority and by the government, and you need to have that company who will facilitate their learning under the Kickstarter scheme and will also arrange payment of their wages whilst they're on the Kickstarter. Once they get to end of Kickstarter, which is 6 months, it's not costing you as the business owner anything at all. And once they get to end of Kickstarter, you can put them onto an apprenticeship should you want to. You can put them into a full-time role if you want to. We're going to put ours onto an apprenticeship, and I've got 3 that are joining the business at the size we are now. Now, we've actually got another 3 that we're looking for, because I wanted 1 in marketing and 2 in administration. As it turns out, with the position that I'm in with my Gary Das brand, my Financial Pro brand, my mortgage brokerage, and building all of these businesses and lead generation marketing streams out and branding, I'm actually at a point where really now we should build a social media agency and a marketing agency. So that's what I'm doing. I interviewed one girl. She is an expert at video and editing and production. I interviewed another girl. She absolutely loves the written word and everything around writing and SEO and blogs and transcriptions and turning them into great words. And then I interviewed another one who was a social media manager for an events company and absolutely loves social media and all the different channels. And effectively, that's everything that I need, which is also going to free up some of Jack's time, which is also going to enable us to build a process and a system for all 3 of my brands and my businesses. We can get it working. We can increase the lead generation. I can also reduce the amount that I'm paying to some of the outsourcers that I'm currently using, or I could potentially use them as editors rather than full-time people completing tasks. But equally, I'm a massive fan of expertise, particularly in the marketing. So as the Kickstarters become more proficient and we build out we expand the amount that we're doing, because most of the marketing energy at the moment is going into me and my personal brand, but we really want to push on with Financial Pro, and I'm launching a new website for my brokerage, transitioning it with new branding, new marketing, new structure for the website, SEOs being a big point of that, and I'm having a 100 page website built straight from the kickoff, because if we want to be in financial services, you got to play with the big boys and go in all in. And then we've got a marketing strategy mapped out for the from the launch of the new website. So I think it's an opportune time to bring in Kickstarters. And as it happens, I've taken on 3 in marketing, which will eventually become under the Gary Das and the Financial Pro brand. Now that still means that I still need 3 Kickstarters, or 2 Kickstarters, potentially 3 in active. I've got 3,000 clients pre-2016, where we were a life insurance brokerage, and those clients haven't been serviced to the degree that they should have done, because I've been back to mortgages. I've been building out the systems, the processes, the team, the automations, my operations manager, getting the marketing working, which is my absolute passion and love. And now we've got a 15-person team, 14-person team possibly, that needs to have more of a structure. Andrew absolutely loves management, my ops manager. So we're going to bring in Kickstarters. We're going to have one who's going to focus on the 3,000 clients, or potentially they all will initially. We're also putting in a new CRM system. So we've got the data transferring from the old CRM system to the new CRM system. I'm having one purpose built. You've also then got the element of contacting all the existing clients, but giving those Kickstarters the opportunity to become an insurance advisor, a will writer, become part of the administration team within my brokerage, because we're going to centralize that for our advisors, rather than giving them the chance to be advisors all day every day, rather than them recruiting their own, which is going to save them aggravation, pension, contracts, national insurance, all these other things that are a bit of a pain to deal with. We're going to centralize all of that, which also improves the control that we have over clients. And what better way to do it? Bringing young people into the business, giving them an opportunity to learn, develop, improve and grow, start in this fantastic industry within financial services. If you get the right type of person, then they are going to support your business. They're going to come up with ideas. They're going to gain confidence over time, learning and developing through you. And equally, you get them free for 6 months, and then you give them the opportunity to be with you for the long term. So it's about giving people that opportunity, but it's also about understanding that, particularly during the times that we've been in, there's always opportunity to grow. I see the opportunity to build a marketing agency with all of you underneath Financial Pro. I've already said to my mentees, because a massive part of what I teach them is marketing and lead generation automation. How many of you would like support in repurposing your content, in having an outsourced marketing team? And about 30 or 40 have said yes. Now, I have a method that I do that's completely different to all the other agencies and everybody's out there, because I believe the content should always originate from you, but the repurposing of that content shouldn't be. For example, I'm sitting here now recording a Facebook Live. Once I finish this, my team will take that and they will send that over to the podcast team, who will put that out as a podcast episode for you. Maybe you're listening to this on the podcast. They will then take that and they'll cut 1 or 2 minute excerpts out of it, which will go out on Instagram. They'll transcribe it and potentially it will become a blog. And that's part of what you can outsource from that perspective. Now, I'm going off on a tangent because I wanted to show you the importance of delegating to elevating, which is the most important part of being a business owner. If you just remain as you, then you technically have just created yourself another job. The idea is to be able to build that fun and profitable lifestyle business, a more successful financial services business. And that comes back to marketing, sales, admin, finances. The number of people that I coach that don't know their numbers enough, and as soon as we get a cash flow forecast for the next 12 months in place, as soon as we get zero or outsourcing to a bookkeeper, I've got a bookkeeper that I use for my 3 businesses. As soon as you outsource that stuff, clarity around your numbers enables you to grow. You then feel confident in being able to recruit your administrator so that you can focus more on clients, marketing, and sales, and you leverage out that administration. And that's the first step. As a bigger business, you've got advisors, you've got apprentices, administrators, you've got PAs, and a great way to leverage that is through the Kickstarter scheme. We want to outsource our entire marketing department. Marketing and administration department. But we're going to bring it internally underneath Active, and we're going to make sure that it's actually outsourced for our advisors, is what I mean. So I would urge you to look into apprentices. I would urge you to look into the Kickstarter scheme, and I would take the opportunity while you have it, particularly, with the cost of bringing somebody into the business. It's so little now, or potentially free, that you're hindering your own lifestyle and your own business development if you don't do that. Because the more time that you can spend doing what you love with who you love and building your business, automating the processes, earning the income that you want to earn, there's opportunity right now to bring Kickstarters and apprentices into your business for free or low cost. And you should grab that with every opportunity. What's the risk? You get to the end of 6 months with a Kickstarter and you just say, look, I'm really sorry, it hasn't worked out in the way in which I thought. And we haven't been able to increase the sales, which I don't know how anybody could not manage to do that. It just means that I would believe that if you don't, it means you're not focusing your energy in the right areas in order to be able to get that next level growth. Because if you invest in 20 grand into an administrator, that should easily make you 80 to 100 back in terms of putting your effort into the things that only you can do, which is a whole different conversation. I've spoken about superpowers on these in the past. So I hope that this has given you some thought processes and something to think about around recruitment, around part-time, full-time, around Kickstarters and apprentices. Let me know what you think by connecting with you on socials or commenting in which one you're going to go for. Any further questions that you have around it, just remember, if you don't recruit at least one person into your team, you've basically created yourself another job. At least giving you the opportunity to have some freedom, have some autonomy, not be stuck answering the phones, dealing with every single task that comes into the business, wearing all of the hats that cause you stress, cause you frustration, cause you anxiety. The best place to start is to start noting down everything that you do in half an hour intervals, and just keeping a log and a track of that for a couple of weeks. And then everything that upsets you, everything that stresses you out, everything that's a waste of your time, or you deem a waste of your time, or is administration and not money making or income generating, that's your job description. That's the bullet points that you want that other person to do for you. And that can be the first thing that you take on when it comes to apprentices, Kickstarters, or bringing someone a little more experienced into the business. And even as a bigger organization, there is an opportunity to give young people a chance. So take advantage of that. Transform your life, transform your business. And thanks very much indeed for tuning in to this episode of the Financial Pro podcast. Remember, now's the time to become pro.